Here I'm going to walk us through closing a transaction. Now, maybe you're just finishing up with a settlement statement, you're ready to close it out, or you just finished a closing, we're the buyer or title, and are ready to close things out in Salesforce. Either way, we're going to walk you through that. Couple of things to be mindful of. One, on the transaction, I'm on the property transaction right now. I have my financials section. Here we can see the estimates on the left, the actuals on the right. These are numbers that came from underwriting, a disposition amount, an acquisition amount. They're kind of growing naturally as you go. As you put a max allowable offer in there, that will start as the acquisition amount until you get an acquisition offer in place, and that will supersede it. Your suggested sale price will start as the disposition amount until you get a disposition amount and or offer in there, and that will supersede that one. So that's where these estimates are coming from. This estimated cost, this is kind of a bulk or bucketed cost of goods sold, renovations, other expenses that you have, or costs you're going to have to get this property to sell, that are part of your cost of goods from kind of an accounting perspective. So you can change those, and it will actually, let me go ahead and do that. It will update the line item. Now this one is typically a part of the calculator and underwriting process. Acquisitions is worked through those. Maybe Dispo had to tailor it a little bit, even transaction coordination. In this case, we can see on the opportunity underwriting was marked approved, which is great because that means our estimates, initial estimates, were locked in. And if you don't mark that as approved, it doesn't have any way of knowing if they've really been approved. So they just kind of keep floating until you close it out, which is okay too. But if you want to have kind of, here is our initial numbers and then our current estimates and then our actuals. So that's what we're working for, is making sure we've got those actuals filled out. On the transaction, there's a tab over here called financials. This financials has what's called opportunity products or opportunity line items. Now, in Salesforce, the opportunity is the financial hub. All their investment in AI and forecasting tools and models is all on the opportunity object, not on any custom objects. So we roll up everything from transactions back to the opportunities. Think of the opportunity as the parent, transactions as children. Now, also, you can have multiple transactions per opportunity, because you could have, maybe you bought 5 homes and you're renovating one, flipping, or wholesaling another one. Each of those transactions can be handled independent, but they roll up to the opportunity so that you can use forecasting and pipeline management that Salesforce is rolling out for everyone. So in this case, I can see on this specific transaction, I have a commissions expense line item. Maybe I had commissions at play at once and then they've been zeroed out, so nothing there. I have my disposition amount, $935. I've got my estimated cost of goods. You can see that updated to $15,800 from $15,400. The acquisition line item is on the opportunity because it's shared across all the transactions, so it lives there. In this case, I could add other products to this transaction, right? Maybe I need to add additional closing fees that are separate from this, or maybe I want to get rid of this guy and line itemize them out. Or maybe I have other construction costs, or maybe photography or taxes or transfer fees, any number of things, whatever granularity I want to see them, I can put them in there. But the idea here is we want to close them out, right? So we're done with the transaction. I know my expenses, my costs. So if I just want to close this transaction, I have 2 ways of doing it. One, I can just hit close all. If all of these numbers are accurate and I hit close all, that is going to mark those as actuals for me. If I need to edit one of them, then I can go to edit products and costs, and I can edit one and mark it as an actual, or I can mark individual ones as actuals and leave some of them as estimates still. So I can close them out altogether or one at a time. In this case, it's a single property on this opportunity or single transaction. So I'm actually going to go to the opportunity so I can see everything that's rolled up on that op. So I can see the acquisition amount, $655. I can see no commissions expenses. I see the disposition amount of $935 and estimated costs of $15,800. Not a bad spread. Let's go ahead and say, you know what? The same thing. I could mark them all as actuals, just close all, and it'll do them all for you. Or in this case, I'm going to look at it and say, you know what? We had a little bit more cost than that. Perhaps we had some additional fees we didn't expect, and that's our final number. Let me mark that as an actual. The disposition amount, that is where we ended up. No changes there. Commissions expense, I don't have any, so I'm just going to leave it out. And acquisition amount, let's say that one is also our actual, right? So let's save that. And now we've kind of locked in those numbers. And let's go look at the opportunity to see what that looks like. I'm going to point something out here. Now you're going to see this estimate right here is actually using a roll up, because here is the editable version. So we see that 15.8 is estimates. So I'm looking at my actuals here. I've got 17.5, 262.5, and 262.5. So those are my final numbers that roll up there. Now let's go look at the transaction. We'll see a little bit different view on the transaction, because that's where a lot of the estimates are actually stored, because it's on a per transaction basis. So let's look here. I've got my initial estimated cost 15.8, my estimated gross profit on this transaction 264, and then I can see my actuals. So that closed it out. Let's go ahead and say, oh, it's already closed one. Great. If not, I mark it closed one, and that will update the opportunity as well. So I hope that was helpful in understanding how to close a transaction, how the financials tab and line items work. Use it if it's going to be a benefit to you, and if you think you're going to report on estimates versus actuals. Don't worry about it if you don't think you're going to use that. It's totally up to you. You can run with just the estimate numbers, because there's a closed and lost, and those are available throughout the system as well, just for simplicity's sake. All right, so if you have any questions on that, please let us know. If you find some things you think could be more efficient, please let us know that too, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.